Hi, Tom. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Hi, Kathy. It's absolutely great to be here today with you. Always love when I get an opportunity to come on and chat with you guys.
Okay, so Tom, we are talking through big ideas. We're going to do a few podcasts with you. And these big ideas are things that we hear coming up again and again with contractors, the contractors we work with, the contractors that are having issues all the way out from beyond our audience through all different trades. And one of the things we hear people needing a lot of help with, and something we are learning here at Estimate Rocket, is team accountability meetings. So let's talk about how most companies do meetings. Are they effective overall?
They can be, but you definitely have to have a structure, a rhythm, and good agendas. And I know this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I have spent a lot of time in a former company that I was with and in our current company with very poor meeting rhythms. And unfortunately, once you get the hang of the right meetings, they really become, enlightening and empowering and they really work. But boy, if you got a bad structure, they just everybody dreads them and they're boring as hell and nobody wants to go to them and they end up being a waste of time instead of an opportunity to really get your company dialed in and all aligned and working together. It's really about the alignment.
Mm,
Mm,
yeah.
that almost sounds like music to my ears. Alignment, team alignment. Ooh, that's what everyone is searching for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that you say that because in our experience as a company, um, we have a weekly and monthly
Mhm.
meeting rhythm, and we also have a quarterly meeting rhythm. So the quarterly meeting is when we review what happened in the past quarter and we plan for the next quarter. And when we first started this process, and I'm going to tell you that to get this process working for you, it's not instant. Okay. You got to stay with it. You got to tweak it a little bit when you need to tweak it, but it's not instant. And we would go our first few quarterly meetings we had, we'd come out like being exhausted and not
Mhm.
really sure that we got everything, down the way we needed to.
Mhm.
And once we got the hang of it, we would get to the end of the meetings, and these are 2-day intensive, 8-hour meetings. And we get to the end of it and we do a little review at the end of the meeting, and everybody talked about alignment, and we weren't as tired, we weren't as exhausted, and we felt 100% better about where we were going. Like it wasn't just we'd gotten everything out, aired all the things that we needed to air. We actually started talking, aligned and talking in the same direction. It is a huge thing for your company when everybody walks out of when your leadership team walks out of the meetings and knows where they're going and they're all working together, and then those team members can push that information down to their teams. It makes them, it's a magical thing. It really is.
Mm.
Well, and just think about going on a road trip, right? A summer trip with your family, and you haven't GPSed
No.
it. You don't know where you're going. It ends up it could be the vacation from hell, but um having a roadmap is the first part, the first piece of the puzzle to success.
Mm,
So it's really, really important. So let
Mhm.
me ask
good
you this,
point.
Tom. What kind of accountability is often lacking in a business?
The A word, accountability. um yeah, I think it's a misunderstood word in a lot of cases. So accountability obviously is who's accountable for what. And it is important for people to be accountable for the things that they've taken responsibility for, been assigned responsibility for. Hopefully, they're taking responsibility for. And but in order to work with accountability, you
Mhm.
need to know who was supposed to do what and when. And you also need to know who the people are that are involved in various aspects of your projects, to put it into a contractor context. every project has a group of people working on it.
Mhm.
It has the salesperson working on it. It has the estimator working on it. Might be the same person, might be different people. It has a project coordinator working on it. It has a crew leader who's running it in the field. And then it has a bookkeeper who's doing the invoicing and taking care of that aspect of it. Now, again, that in some companies, that's one person. In some companies, that's 5 or 6 different people.
Mm.
So being at the end of a project and all of this stuff, if you don't care what your results are, then all this stuff is meaningless. It really doesn't have, it's purely a tool to help you get better at what you're doing and to be able to, be better than your competition and to have a long, thriving, successful business. That's really what this stuff is all about.
Mm.
That really is what is fundamentally, why we're doing that stuff. But anyway, when you get down to reviewing things and it's time to say, okay, what happened on this project or what happened on that project, and it could be what happened in a good way or it could be what happened in a bad way, because you can
Mhm.
absolutely learn from both of those. If something went, if you start out with a plan for a project, even each project has a plan, and that's usually your estimate that has the, what you're expecting, how long you're expecting it to take
Mhm.
to complete the project, how many man hours, what the cost is, what the materials are going to cost, all of those things. With that plan in hand, when the project is complete, and even while the project is progressing, if you know who the team members are who are responsible for their various aspects of that project, then it becomes really easy in your short meetings. If you have regular meetings along the way and a review at the end,
Mhm.
it becomes very easy for people to communicate and get the understanding. Hey, how come we're a little behind on that? Anybody, what exactly is happening? Well, we can't get the materials for that. And it gives you opportunities to do things like, oh, well, maybe if we're waiting for materials, can we shift another project back and start a shorter project, get that done in the interim? So, we're making sure that we're keeping everybody working and productive. There's all kinds of decisions you can make when you know who's involved in each project. And it's easy to see, hey, we're having a meeting with those 2 people today. Let's make sure that we discuss where we're at with these 3 or 4 projects.
Mm.
Same when project ends, at the end of a project, you need to pull the appropriate groups into a room and say, hey, what happened? Why did we not make what we thought we were going to make on this project? Or why did we make twice what we thought we were going to? How did that happen? Did it take half the time we thought it was going to? What was it? And so either side, you can learn, hey, what can we do better in the next time? And we can learn, damn, we got to do more of that because that's really working for us.
Mhm.
So you really get, by knowing who's doing what on each project, it gives you the ability to look at those things and make changes and decisions based on those results.
So
Really key.
if people were looking at their company and trying to assess, do I have the meetings that I need to have for good accountability? Maybe a high level view, if you maybe even think of in an outline, like what meetings do I need to have? And maybe this is an overly simplistic way of thinking about it, but is it, we have annual meetings, quarterly meetings, monthly meetings, weeklies, dailies.
Right.
Is there something you'd say, well, when you look at the high level of your company, you should at least see these types recurring?
Yeah.
Is that fair from company to company to?
Yeah, I mean, there are some pretty standard rhythms out there, and again, everybody adjusts them, based on how your company is made up and the type of work that you're doing. But one of the general rhythms, and I was going to throw this out there as a general rhythm that has become popular, is daily stand-up meetings. Each day, your various teams, and maybe you and your production leader and your sales leader, as the owner of the company, talk on a daily basis for about 10 minutes. Just a time for everybody's not to review everything that's going on in your life. It's a time to say, hey, I need some help on this project. We're blocked, we're stopped on this. In fact, a lot of the stand-up rhythms talk about the things that you talk about are things that are, what do you think you're going to do today? And what's blocking you? So is there something blocking you? If there's something blocking you, you want to get that out on sooner rather than later. so that you can make adjustments, right? If you don't know about it, nobody can adjust. So short stand-up meeting daily, 10, 15 minutes tops. And that might be, again, you and your leaders, or might be your project managers and the crew leaders, or it might be you and a series of crew leaders, again, depending upon the size, number of crews, and the levels of management that you have there. You want to do a stand-up at each level so that everybody gets an opportunity to say, hey, you know, and even the guys in the field talking to the crew leader, 10 minutes in the morning, what are we going to do today? What, you know, what do we have any problems yesterday? And is anything blocking us? You know, oh yeah, I need materials for this. I need brushes, or I need shovels, or whatever it is that you need. Those things stop a project from working. And obviously, if we get those out, the sooner we get those out, the better opportunity we have to keep things rolling along. So short stand-up meeting daily. And then weekly meeting for team leaders. So again, that weekly team lead meeting might, again, be me as the owner of the company with my sales leader and my production leader and my accounting or bookkeeping leader, to cover, you know, any big thing, you know, big things that are going on, or things that we need to worry about for next week, or, you know, new things that have come up, whatever, you know, comes out in discussion. And for each individual meeting, in a second, I can give you a kind of a list of the agenda for these meetings. And then finally, a monthly meeting of some sort. And again, it depends upon your company as to who comes into that meeting. Obviously, you want to have people in the meeting, attending the meetings, that the information that you're going to go over is going to be relevant to. You know, you don't want to pull people into meetings for no good reason, because that's just a waste of time. The meeting, you might have a monthly meeting for your entire company, depending upon how your company is. And again, this might be a half hour to 45-minute meeting where you cover company-oriented things. Again, there's no hard and fast rules here. You got to design something for your company, but a short stand-up daily and a weekly meeting with your team leaders, and I want to say a monthly meeting for project performance review, are probably good things to start with. So, and then in terms of, you know, how do these meetings go from an agenda standpoint? First thing, it's always good news. You know, what's happening good, anything good, then find it, personal, professional, whatever it is. It's a good way to start things. We never, we don't spend enough time thinking about our wins. We spend way too much time thinking about our losses. And it's really important to have to sit back and go, what's good? And I will tell you, there are many days when I struggle with, oh shit, what's good? I mean, I can't remember what the heck happened yesterday that was good, or this week, or whatever, but it's important to do. So the next section, and again, everybody uses different ones. If you go look online, you'll see 100 different potential agendas for meetings. There has to be some space in your meeting for what we call IDS, identify, discuss, and solve. So those things are, you know, hey, here's a problem. Okay, how's it a problem? What's it all about? What's it involved? What's the solution? So that's one of the other, you know, important things to cover in your agenda. And then another one is, I'm going to call the parking lot. And I thought this was really unique when we found this in the meeting rhythms that we had. The parking lot is for things you're not going to get to today, but they seem important. So your parking lot is sort of this ongoing list of stuff that if the other things in your meeting, now again, in your huddles, you're probably going to get your daily huddles or stand-up meetings. You're going to get good news and identify, discuss, and solve. That's about all the time you got in your huddles, and that's what they're for. In your longer meetings, like in your weekly meetings, especially your monthly meetings, that's when you're going to talk a little bit more about problems, things that you need to change, you know, that bigger changes, not like a change on this project or that project, but hey, we want to make some changes to how the steps in our sales process or in our operations process. So a little bit bigger things. And then the parking lot is those things that you don't get to. So, you know, they're important, but you're just not going to get to them in this meeting. And the final thing as you really get going here is KPI reviews. So, you know, key performance indicators or goals or priorities, you know, they're similar things. KPIs are usually number oriented, but it's really important to work those into your meetings as well, especially into your longer meetings. Again, you wouldn't cover your KPIs in a huddle, but in either a weekly or monthly meeting, you might have a few key KPIs that you review just to see how you're doing. I mean, are our sales tracking where we think they're going to be? Is our cash flow working the way we think it's supposed to? Stuff that you need to know in order to make sure, are we getting enough leads? Are we doing enough estimates? Are we closing enough sale deals? And are we producing enough work and getting it billed and paid? Those are kind of the 4 areas of popular KPIs that pretty much everybody should be tracking in some way or another. And then there's all kinds of other KPIs that you can add over time as you get dialed into this, that can help move the dial for you in improving certain processes or things in your company. I could probably ramble about this all day long.
And I wanted to say that one of the great things that can come out of the daily huddles, and our business is no different than yours, is that sometimes I get put on a special project, and when I know how big the scope is for that project and I have a deadline, I might not be able to meet that scope of work with that deadline with just myself. So I'll go into a daily huddle and I might say to Tom when I meet with him, I'm doing really well on this, but if you're insistent on meeting this particular goal, I might need to borrow an hour here or an hour there of someone else's time from another department. And I can see that being hugely valuable on a project that you're doing. If you're not going to meet your deadline, it might be useful to get another crew member to come in and help with a particular job that you're doing that day. So daily huddles are hugely valuable.
Yeah, especially in a production environment. That can be a very handy tool where, you identify that, we're a little behind on this. And one of the other crew leaders can say, oh, hey, you know what? This one's slowed down a little bit and we're kind of waiting on this. We can send a couple guys over to your job to get that, to work on that and get you caught up and then back to the other job. So that's a really good use for the daily stand-ups, is to get an idea of, I'm being blocked by this. Hey, I got some capacity. I can help you out with that, and really, maximize how you're using your team, or how your team is using your resources.
So Tom, are there any particular tools that you would recommend for people to be able to log their meetings and then have the record of that for the next meetings?
Yeah, we use a tool. There's a variety of different tools for that out there. We use a tool called Metronome, which works pretty effectively for us. And it does have the whole meeting rhythm concept all built into it. So it's a pretty good structure. You could also do it in a product like Basecamp, in terms of to track your meetings and track your KPIs and things. As one of the other things you do need, though, is you need the information about who's doing what and who's working on what, and keeping track of your projects. For that, I would highly recommend this product called EstimateRocket. It's really a great tool for tracking your projects and keeping track of who's doing what. That's one of the things EstimateRocket does, is it does keep track of who is the key person for the various aspects of the project. So when you do get to these review processes, you can go look at a project and see who did which parts of the project, and which crew members worked on it, and all that information that you need to be able to make good decisions and evaluations about it.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would
Shameless plug.
Yeah,
no, it's not shameless. It's the truth.
We hear people using EstimateRocket to project it up on the wall, or to have some screen on to say, hey, what are we all doing? You want to look at your calendar, your schedule, the actuals. How did we do last week? What were the closing rates? What salespeople did what? Areas of the city where we in most, or you're kind of mapping out where we're going to be. What's the to-do? I mean, there's so many reasons why you may want to use something to just bring up, what is our day look? How do you visualize that? There's so many, whatever people are using.
Sure.
We know that people are using our tool for that very reason. So it's helpful to have that as content for your conversations. Because they say that, when you're dealing in abstract, like ideas, what I want to do, what we hope to do, or how we think we did, you need numbers, you need figures, you need to
Mhm.
Right.
sometimes make that a little more concrete to say,
Right.
actually, what we did, is that actually what our plan is for today? So it helps
Right.
to bring real content in your conversation so it doesn't become too inflated with
Yeah.
abstraction.
Right.
You need the
True
backup
team
for sure.
accountability.
Yeah, yeah, for true accountability. That's right.
Hmm.
So, well, I think this is a topic that a lot of people are trying to figure out, and a lot of times you're building that bridge as you cross it. EstimateRocket, Tommy, you were talking with me this morning a little bit. You said like, well, this is stuff we've learned, and this is stuff we're still learning. And I'm like, well, that's perfect, because we always
Right.
try to set up EstimateRocket as a business, as a model for how business can be
Mhm.
run, because a lot of people are kind of looking for ways to do it. So we're
Sure.
sharing our own learnings here, and as a
Yeah.
EstimateRocket employee, I've come in and been with these meeting rhythms and the quarterly meetings and stuff, and it's really neat to see it evolve. And it does evolve. I mean, would you say
It does.
that it grows with you? Your style of meetings and accountability does evolve over time
Yeah.
and change with you?
Yeah, it must. If it's working, it's going to grow and it's going to evolve into a better process. You'll find as you dedicate yourself to this, you will find that your meetings get better and more effective. Like for example, a stand-up meeting in some cases is just everything's good. I'm doing this and this today, and I'm doing
Mhm.
this and this today, and great, we're done. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, oh wow, we got to take care of that. How are we gonna, who can help with that, or how can we get that done? So as you dial it in, you'll know which meetings. I know we went through a process where we probably had uh, two or three too many meetings going on, too many of the longer meetings with different team members, and we realized, hey, in fact, I was working with a coach at the time too, and he said, "Oh, wait a minute, you're having that many meetings?" Like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Oh no, I think you're overdoing that a little bit." So you want to have the right number of meetings, obviously, that
Mhm.
where you're,
Yeah.
everybody's informed and knows what's going on, but you're not feeling like you're spending your whole life in meetings.
And there's a huge amount of satisfaction for the entire company when they see the well-oiled machine working at really a top level of performance.
Mm, it's
Yeah.
true.
Mhm.
Alignment, beautiful thing.
Alignment, team alignment.
It's like music to our ears.
It is like a beautiful symphony.
Yes.
Symphony of
And
music.
alignment also reduces stress,
Mhm.
right? And how much of
True.
that do we all need in our lives?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Now we
Less.
can do stuff on video that we couldn't do just on audio, like raising our hands. There's less stress. Well, we're excited to be having these conversations and to be offering video now of our podcasts. And
Mhm.
there's probably a learning curve here, and we're doing our best. We're evolving, as we
No.
just talked about.
That's
Uh,
right.
Hopefully people enjoy it. But Tom, always great to have you on. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, totally a pleasure, Chris. Great topic, and always enjoy talking with you guys.
Thanks so much.